Students, this chapter covers three things: nutrition, metabolism, and body temperature regulation. And so the first part of it with nutrition, it's going to cover your three of your four macromolecules. So we'll be covering carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins, and then that will lead into like vitamins and coenzymes and minerals and how they play a role in the body. The second part is metabolism, and that we know is the sum of all of our biochemical reactions in the body. And the third part, cover energy balance and how thermoregulation occurs. And we will look at how the hypothalamus acts as the body's thermostat. Now, I have a video that is a short, kind of brief introduction to the chapter. Again, you need to read the chapter and go over your notes. Let me know if you have any questions.
Nutrition, metabolism, and body temperature regulation. Nutrition. Nutrition is the process of providing or obtaining the food necessary for health and growth. Carbohydrates are the body's main source of energy. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose and make ATP. ATP is a molecule that is found in every cell. It stores and supplies cells with energy. Complex carbohydrates are higher in fiber and digest more slowly. They help you to feel fuller for a longer period of time and help to control blood sugar levels. Some examples are brown rice, vegetables, oatmeal, and grains. Simple carbohydrates are sugars. They are quickly used by the body and digested rapidly. They usually lack fiber and nutrients. Some examples are sugary snacks, white bread, white pasta, and processed foods. Proteins serve as structural material. They help to build, repair, and maintain tissues in the body. They are also used in body functions. A protein must have all 20 amino acids to be considered complete. Some examples of complete proteins are eggs, milk, meats, and fish. A protein that doesn't have all 20, like legumes, nuts, and seeds, are considered to be incomplete. Vegans and vegetarians need to monitor their diets carefully to ensure that they are getting enough complete proteins. When you eat protein, your body uses it to make amino acids. Amino acids are either used to make new proteins or burned as an energy source, depending on several factors. First, all of the 20 amino acids must be present or you don't make protein. This is known as the all or none rule. Second, you also need enough calories coming in so that you don't burn protein. Third, when the newly made proteins are equal to the proteins being broken down and used as an energy source, you have what is called nitrogen balance. Finally, anabolic hormones are growth hormones. They speed up the process of making proteins and growth. Lipids are fats and cholesterol. Lipids serve as an energy source and help to absorb fat-soluble vitamins. They aid in digestion and absorption and assist with steroid hormone production. Lipids that contain unsaturated fats are healthier than those with saturated fats because unsaturated fats help to reduce LDL, which is bad cholesterol. Some sources of healthy lipids, which are unsaturated fats, include avocados, plant-based oils, and fatty fish. Some of the lipids which are saturated fats include fatty meats, high-fat dairy, and coconuts. Vitamins are elements that are found in the foods we eat. You can also get them in a supplement form. Your body needs them to work properly and maintain good health. Vitamins are not used to fuel our bodies, but help our bodies make use of the nutrients that we consume. There are two types of vitamins, fat-soluble and water-soluble. Fat-soluble vitamins dissolve in fat and are stored in the body. Some examples of fat-soluble vitamins are vitamins A, D, E, and K. Water-soluble vitamins dissolve in water before they are absorbed. Any of these types of vitamins that your body doesn't use are eliminated in urine. Some examples of water-soluble vitamins are vitamins C and B complex vitamins. Catabolism is the process that produces the energy required for all activity in the cells. In this process, cells break down large molecules, mostly carbohydrates and fats, into smaller ones to release energy. This energy release provides fuel for anabolism, heats the body, and enables the muscles to contract and the body to move. Anabolism is all about building and storing. During anabolism, small molecules are changed into larger, more complex molecules, such as carbohydrates, proteins, or fat. Oxidation reduction reactions occur when the oxidized substances lose energy and the reduced substances gain energy as energy-rich electrons are transferred from one substance to the next. This means as food fuels are oxidized, their energy is transferred to other molecules and ultimately to ADP to form energy-rich ATP. Coenzymes are typically derived from one of the B vitamins. Although enzymes catalyze the removal of hydrogen atoms to oxidize a substance, they cannot accept the hydrogen, hold on, or bond to it. Their coenzymes, however, can act as a hydrogen or electron acceptors, becoming reduced each time a substrate is oxidized. ATP synthesis. Substrate-level phosphorylation occurs when high-energy phosphate groups are transferred directly from phosphorylated substances to ADP to form ATP. It occurs in the cytosol and mitochondrial membrane. Carbohydrate metabolism. ATP is too unstable to stockpile, so cells often store energy in the form of glucose, which they can then catabolize and convert to ATP for when it's needed. Some of the very important cells in your body, such as neurons and red blood cells, feed exclusively on glucose. Most of the carbs that your intestines absorb are converted to glucose for that reason. However, if it's not needed right away, energy can also get stored as glycogen in your liver and muscles, or converted to glycerol and fatty acids to make triglyceride fats. Oxidation of glucose. In order for glucose to become the energy that our bodies use, we have to give it some oxygen and convert each sugar molecule into 6 molecules of CO2 and 6 molecules of water, which usually produces about 32 molecules of ATP. Glycolysis then breaks down each glucose molecule into 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. In order for glycolysis to work, it needs an investment of 2 ATPs, and in the end it will generate 4 ATPs, having a net profit of 2 ATPs. At the end of glycolysis, you are left with 2 pyruvic molecules, 2 ATPs, and 2 molecules of NADH. The Krebs cycle. The pyruvic acid then enters the mitochondrial membrane, where the Krebs cycle oxidizes it to CO2. What is left is acetyl-CoA. Then another NAD+ comes along and combines with hydrogen molecule and becomes NADH. So the 2 pyruvates create another 2 molecules of NADH to be used later. The acetyl-CoA bring together a phosphate with ADP to create another ATP molecule for each pyruvate. The electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. The NADHs and the FADH2s that were made from the Krebs cycle come into play here. Their electrons are going to provide the energy that will work as a pump along a chain of channel proteins across the inner membrane of the mitochondria, where the Krebs cycle occurred. These proteins will swap the electrons to send hydrogen protons inside the very center of the mitochondria, across its inner membrane to the outer compartment of the mitochondria. Once they are out, the protons want to get back to the other side of the inner membrane and are allowed back in through the protein ATP synthase. The energy of this proton flow causes combining of ADP and some phosphates together to form ATP. Glycogenesis is when glucose molecules are combined to form glycogen. Glycogenolysis is the breaking down of glycogen in your liver and muscles to release glucose for energy. Gluconeogenesis is the process of forming new glucose from non-carbohydrate molecules, such as fats and amino acids. It occurs in the liver. Lipid metabolism. Lipogenesis is where the liver converts glucose to triglycerides and then sends them to adipose tissue for storage. Lipolysis is the breakdown of stored fat. The fats in your adipose tissue store energy, but they also store fat-soluble vitamins as well as cushion your organs. Lipids also form the myelin that insulates the neurons in your brain and throughout your body. One of the important lipids is cholesterol, which is a basis for testosterone and estrogen. Also important are phospholipids, which form the cell membrane in every single one of our cells that we have in our bodies. When you digest lipids, your body breaks down triglycerides into glycerol and fatty acids. These molecules can then be processed and used in the making of ATP. They can also be converted into other types of fatty acids, which your cells can then reassemble into your very own triglycerides or phospholipids. The liver is great at converting one fatty acid into another, but there are some that it just can't synthesize, such as omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. Since lipids are not water-soluble, lipoproteins help in the transportation of lipids throughout the body. Lipoproteins consist of LDLs and HDLs. Protein metabolism. When protein like a piece of chicken is consumed, one of the many proteins in the chicken is then catabolized into amino acids. These amino acids are combined with the other proteins in the meat. Anabolism comes into play and constructs the amino acids into a new protein. All 20 amino acids need to be present to form a complete protein. Some cells can convert into some of the missing amino acids, but 9 of the amino acids are essential and must be present in what you consume, or a new protein cannot be made. Combining foods like adding a slice of cheese to the chicken or a side dish of rice can remedy the deficit. Absorptive state. The absorptive state occurs during and just after eating. It is when blood sugar is up and there is more of an anabolic than catabolic reaction. This is where carbohydrates are made into glycogen, triglycerides are put into adipose cells for storage, and amino acids are used by the liver to make proteins and fats. Hormonal control occurs when insulin lowers the blood sugar level. Insulin moves glucose out of the blood and into storage. If there is a problem with insulin reduction or if there is a lack of insulin receptors, diabetes mellitus can occur. Post-absorptive state. The post-absorptive state begins after you have eaten. After a meal, your blood sugar will start to drop. This drop in glucose will trigger a response for the alpha cells in your pancreas to release glucagon. This helps the blood sugar level to begin to rise because the liver and adipose tissue will be stimulated to metabolize the glycogen in fat storage. Glucose, glycerol, and fatty acids will be returned back to the blood. If you hadn't had something to eat in a while, fats and amino acids will be converted to glucose through gluconeogenesis. This ensures that your brain cells will stay healthy. This process also protects your body from the damaging effects of low blood sugar, such as harm to the nervous system. The role of the liver in metabolism. The liver turns lactose and fructose into glucose. This glucose is then burned for ATP. The cholesterol transport of lipoproteins happens when high-density lipoproteins, or HDLs, good cholesterol, transport excess cholesterol from tissues into the liver for processing. Or when low-density lipoproteins, LDLs, bad cholesterol, transport cholesterol out to peripheral tissues. Or when very low-density lipoproteins, VLDLs, they are not good cholesterol, transport lipids to peripheral tissue and unload triglycerides. They then become LDLs. Chylomicrons transport lipids from the GI tract. The regulation of plasma cholesterol levels happens when saturated fats raise the liver's production of cholesterols. Unsaturated fats promote excretion of cholesterol, and trans fatty acids raise LDL and lower HDL. Metabolic rate and body heat production. Definitions. Metabolic rate is the energy that is let out. Basal metabolic rate, or BMR, is how much energy you burn while sitting and fasting for 12 hours. Total metabolic rate, or TMR, is the energy for all activities. Factors influencing BMR are age, gender, stress, hormones, and surface area to mass ratio, or your weight. Factors influencing TMR are food intake. Clinical problems. Hyperthyroidism raises your BMR and the breakdown of fats and proteins. Hypothyroidism lowers your BMR and makes it easier to become obese.